he kind of oversees the money once it's divvied up and given out. He would be the one to come and present the city with a check. So he is the person that he would need to stay in contact with on that particular grant. And it sounds like on some other things too. I didn't even know he had anything to do with this water stuff.
Yeah.
My only other thing with the water board is a project like this necessary? I'm sure it is. But without something in writing to protect the city and its employees, I'm not gonna go for it until it is. I mean, there's no real plan. I actually, the first water board meeting we had, take over a city this big, this is what you got. This is a few documents that's been given. There's no plan for employees, there's no, all you've got is a contact, index page here for bylaws, but where are the bylaws? Where is all this savior of Cumberland that they claim it to be in here? It's not. I don't see it anywhere in the stack of documents. When you put it in writing, then yeah, it's probably a good thing. You say eventually take over the debts. Well, how long is eventually? And with grant money running out, that $1.1 million is not going to be used up for nothing but consultant fees and things like that. You're not going to build a new sewer plant tomorrow or the next day. I'd like to see in writing a plan setting up stages for this. But there is nothing right now, period. It's not the, you know, these guys rule water. I'm sure they do good business or whatever, but you got to remember this ultimately boils down to money. It is all about money. I don't care if it's a nonprofit organization or not. These guys do training for these employees. They do inspections for the water and sewer lines, optics. Those things don't come free. So to say nobody has nothing to gain, they do. Everybody has something to gain. It's all about money. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. That's the part of life. Everything is about money. You have to do it. But we have to do it in a way to protect the people of Cumberland. That nobody can come in, just like what you're talking about, the dispatch service. Once we lose that control, we should have some control in that department. Once we lose it, it's gone. They can look at you and say, well, we just cut you off. Just like your dispatcher service. You don't have a layout for employees, and yes, they say they'll have benefits. Okay, well, what are the job qualifications? What are they're going to be labeled as? Are they going to be able to use them all? Do they all have the proper qualifications? Now, I know these guys, they do, but do they meet the standards of this board as of yet? There's nothing in writing to show that. You say retirement plan, well, let's see the retirement plan. What is it?
That's supposed to be phase 2 when they give you a written.
But you're releasing $1.1 million without a plan.
That money has been
And
turned
$80,000 of that was already used up for a stack of papers. Probably that thick. $85,000 to come up with just a survey. Now, how far is $1.1 million going to go? It's not going to go far. And they've not had a copy of the budget for the Utilities Board, a list of anything. The only other thing, getting away from the Utilities Board, is the auditor. Has the auditor gave you the...
That's another thing. You know, the auditor requested all of the former council members and the mayor and you. I know the new council members wouldn't have any knowledge here, but and any of the older council members to report to him any discrepancies or any suspected or suspicious areas that he should be looking into. And now he said he would not release that audit until he gets that information. Now, I've been working on the parts that I'm familiar with. Like one employee was paid $93,000 over any established rate of pay in the last 4 years. And then there's other items, like I started to tell you before, transferring money from one fund to another fund without legal documentation and a record, a track record. But that took place for the last 4 years. I know you're not supposed to go back in the past, but that auditor is not gonna release the audit until we provide that information.
And this, that's what I was talking about, not to interrupt you, but like this waiver he wants us to sign, he plainly admits in his audit that he did this audit by financial statements. Not, if you read it, he says he went on financial statements to do this audit, okay? And this thing he wants you to sign off on, after we plainly had the clerk admit that she was told not to put certain things into the financial statements. He actually talks due to recent media coverage that he wants us to sign off on this and tell him anything that's wrong. Well, as soon as he heard that, he should have come back here and started looking at every receipt in this office to find out for himself. Not accusing anybody of doing anything wrong, but when something is wrong, he should have been the one. What we paid him for? I'm really sick and tired of paying people for shoddy work.
And he's collected $35,000.
And I will tell you that I did contact Crit Luellen's office about it, just to let the public know. And I'm waiting on a decision from them as to what they think of this. And let's just see what happens. But I'm just telling you, I wouldn't sign that. And the last thing I had, all the media that's here, the media that's covered it, TV, newspapers, I like to thank the Tri-City News for the accurate reporting that they do. They put everything out there just like it said. There's not one detail left different. And I appreciate Jeff Wilder and his staff for doing that. And as well as the Harlan-Daily.
Yeah,
And that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Charles. Now, we've got, besides the KIRA and some of the other long-term debts, we're pretty much getting caught up. We stopped digging and we're standing on solid ground now. We're not going any deeper. But on IRS, we still owe them about $87,000 or $118,000. They haven't made up their mind yet. But on the $87,000 bill, $34,000 they say is a trust. I believe that's a penalty and interest on the back payments. We've got to pay that amount in full before we can restructure this amount. So now we've got money in our LGEA fund. That's supposed to be for other reasons. But if we borrow that legally to pay it back and keep a track record, no one can condemn us if we take the LGEA money and pay that off so we can restructure this before the end of the month and continue to be penalized. The LGEA money is not scheduled for any kind of expenditures right now, but it's about $32,000. And we could come up with $34,000 to pay this amount off to IRS so that we can make a payment schedule for this part. They said they would not reschedule this part until we pay this $34,000. So it'll be my responsibility, and it's not kosher, but I'm not cheating nobody. But as long as you know about it, it's on top of the table, I'll transfer that money as a loan from LGEA to the general fund and pay to the payroll account, so we can pay that $34,000.
It'll be set up in something right where we're putting it back.
It'll be a transfer contract. It'll be a contract. And, but if any of you have any doubts or any questions, I won't do it. But there's the only other way we could come up with this amount of money. That's the only way we could. And
is that not the same as doing something we're saying the other one's done?
Well, the other ones didn't keep a track record.
Money in.
The others didn't keep a track record. It just went out without any kind of record or reports or anything. This will be done by amending the budget.
So would we make a budget amendment motion?
Yeah. Now, when it's done, you'll have to approve the budget amendment. That's where you.
And we've got to come up with it pretty soon.
Yeah. But this is for the 2011 budget. Yeah.
I have a question, going back to the budget.